Alberta Primetime with Michael Higgins.
Welcome to Alberta Primetime. Ahead tonight, our politics panel on the issue of separation coming up at the First Minister's meeting. But first, tracking the trends.
The reason why I believe we're seeing changes in population in British Columbia going forward is our immigration numbers have been reduced dramatically by the federal government. This has very serious consequences for us.
The Premier of BC there responding to new population projections from Stats Canada that actually suggest Alberta could not only catch up to British Columbia, but surpass it as Canada's third largest province as early as 2038. And joining us now, Bressey, President of Alberta Municipalities, also a Grand Prairie City Councillor. Councillor Bressey, good to see you again, sir. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me. I always appreciate it.
Well, Alberta projected to become the third most populated province. How's that land with you? What does it say about the direction of our province?
It's really exciting to me to see this growth in Alberta, and I want to highlight that that's not a provincial story. That's actually over 250 individual community stories. And I'm really proud of my colleagues who are on city councils across the province who have created attractive and safe communities, not just for people to move to, but also for people to have babies in, who have created regulatory processes that are both protecting the public, but also ensuring that we're being fair and open to business, and have also built the infrastructure that's been needed so far to support and take care of this population growth. So I'm really proud of the work going on in communities across Alberta.
Okay, so how much of maybe this continued growth do you see centered on Calgary, on Edmonton, and maybe how much on mid-sized cities like your own?
So, yeah, we know that Calgary and Edmonton are leading not just the province, but actually the entire country in terms of housing starts and supporting this growth. But we also do have mid-sized cities and towns and villages across the province that are supporting growth too. For example, I've talked to several village mayors who have told me that they are completely out of developable land in their villages at the moment because they've been successful at encouraging people to move to their communities or have babies in their communities as well. And so this is a big story in Calgary and Edmonton, but also it is a story in every single corner of this province.
Okay, maybe to follow up on that, how challenged will municipalities be to have the degree of room needed to accommodate that growth?
Well, and simply put, we can't keep this growth up without increased investment in infrastructure. It is right now, I am talking to mayors across the province who are telling me that our road capacity, our pipe capacity, our water treatment capacity is simply running out. And if we don't expand that basic infrastructure, we're not going to be able to flush the toilets in the new houses we're building. So we really are hitting a point where infrastructure is no longer going to be able to support this growth. And that's something that it's exciting to me that we're having this success, but we really do need to make sure that we're supporting this growth as well so that it can continue, and also so that our existing residents continue to be able to rely on water, road networks, and all that stuff as well.
I'm going to circle back to some of those points in a moment. I want to first ask, though, from a provincial standpoint, what do you assess as the biggest overall challenges?
So when I'm looking at municipal infrastructure, it really is an infrastructure challenge, and that's municipal roads and pipes. That's also, even though it's not our lane, there's school boards are also struggling with having enough buildings to house all their new students. It really is. We are running out of infrastructure in this province, and it's a double whammy sword because not only are we running out of available infrastructure, but we also have infrastructure aging in this community. So municipal investments aren't just struggling to keep up with growth. They're also struggling just to keep up with the basic maintenance so we don't have huge catastrophes and huge tax increases in the future. So Alberta has been successful, but we need investment to continue that success.
Okay, so then as a municipal leader, what could then be the trickle down to ratepayers, be that residential or businesses alike? How worrisome are the prospects in that regard?
Well, when we look at how property taxes are changing in this province, we know that more and more there's been cumulative impacts of a whole host of decisions that have been made in a variety of ministries, both at the federal and provincial levels, which have increased costs for municipalities, decreased non-property tax revenues for municipalities, and removed property tax room from municipalities. And we're doing that at the same time as we're seeing a need for new infrastructure and inflation raising the cost of that infrastructure. So that means one of two things are going to happen. Either property taxes are going to have to go up, or we're simply going to have to stop making the investments in infrastructure that we're seeing today. And I don't think Albertans want either one of those things to happen. So for us, we really do want to be having a conversation about how should we be funding this infrastructure in this province? Because I don't think property taxes alone are the solution.
Okay. On that point, how then do you see responsibilities being divvied up in getting ahead of the curve on this? How much should be shouldered by the province?
Well, this is an all orders of government solution. So municipalities, they are making these investments at the local community level. They also are doing all the work of making sure that we've got good land use planning processes, good permitting, all those. So municipalities really are doing the work that they need to do. But we're also seeing in the province of Alberta over the last 15 years, we've seen municipal infrastructure go from being over 3% of the provincial budget to about 1.5% of the provincial budget. We're also seeing the federal government make big budget announcements that aren't really introducing new money to municipalities for them to build new infrastructure. Instead, they're just imposing rules on municipalities and actually sometimes taking money away from municipalities. And so for us, we think this is an all order of government approach that's needed, and we really do want to be talking to our colleagues at other orders of government. How are we going to work together to sustain these investments in our community?
Okay, to follow up on that, and as maybe a final question, how do you see any or all of this playing into what's long been held and proclaimed as the Alberta advantage, and how we fit into the bigger national picture at a time when there's now so much focus on push for separation?
Well, and I would say that Alberta is really proud to be leading the country in our growth in economy, and we want to be able to continue contributing to Canada's success, and our local communities want to be able to continue contributing to Alberta's success. And so for me, that's why it is so important that all orders of government are at the table together, talking about who's making what investments, what's the appropriate way to split costs, and also what policy changes do we need to be making as united orders of government to make things continue to be successful for our residents and our businesses.
All right, we'll have to leave it there for time. Appreciate, as always, your time, sir. Thank you kindly, Councillor Bressey.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Dylan Bressey is President of Alberta Municipalities and a Grand Prairie City Councillor.